Ladies and gentlemen, it's 6:04. Our meeting commences at 6. We waited for everyone to be here. Mona is ill tonight. He's not gonna make it. So going further, the special budget workshop meeting, continuation of those we've had and more have yet to come, is being called to order August 22nd at 6:05 p.m. Citizens' comments. No citizens' comments. Action items, review, discussion, possible action on the 2022-23 general fund and water and sewer fund budgets and proposed property tax rate for 2023. Council members, this is probably the most difficult year that this council has had due to the rise of inflation, things we can't control. Normally, in any given year, you're probably talking about 2 to 3 meetings max to come to terms with what the budget looks like. However, this year, we started a little earlier and we had far more meetings than we had previously, but it's gonna take that kind of attention to detail to make sure that we're in compliance with what we have coming in to run the city. So this will not be your last meeting. I think I can assure you that the meetings will be difficult. All opinions need to be listened to and considered, because everything is on the table. And we have to come to a consensus on how we move going forward. Tina, thank you for all the hard work and all the numbers I asked you to crunch. I told Tina, just trying to circumvent some of the time, to create different models that we could look at, see what the final numbers are, would give you a reference point. The models don't infer that that's what we're going to accept, but it's just food for thought. So if you will, explain to us what you've done in my behest.
In the first page past your budget workshop meeting summary page, there is a employee benefit wage recap. That one is inclusive of all employees that have worked here this year. I have given you a revision that's separate. It's a loose sheet of paper. That includes the current working employees only. And it basically, it's from October 1 through June 30th, telling you what the employer's contributions are, the income gross paid for each employee. It also includes, because I know a lot of discussions have come up about the gas, it's including the gas bill as of this time that this individual has incurred based upon, you know, their usage and everything. It also includes, employees get a little bit of a discount from their water and sewer if they live here in Lone Star. It includes those discounts, so therefore it gives you anything extra that these employees that we make or have coming in. And it includes our 2 firemen, proper title went blank, fire chief and Roger and Landon. You know, that it has any type of income or anything that they have as well, just kind of to give a snapshot. With that being said, you see the total amount for the overall total of $312,000. That is up till June. And like I said, it's inclusive of all the employer contributions and everything based upon each employee. We had used a similar sheet like this last year so that we could all see what kinds of monies was going out to each individual employee. Therefore, everything was being right out in the open, so anybody, you know, everybody would know what was going on as far as on monies and as far as on the vehicle gas expense. Of course, it's gonna be a little bit higher now because we've got July and then portion of August. that's not added in there with these totals, but, with that being said, I just wanted to kind of give you out, that one will replace that second page in the packet. But I had already run this sheet based on our history from last year. On the third page, I have drilled numbers down, and if you'll notice, and I failed to copy this in color for you guys, but
What's at the top line of the page?
the general fund summary of budget worksheet.
Total 40,000 franchise fees that we're looking at?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah.
go ahead.
That's just a quick snapshot of the pages following it, pages 1 through 6 of the general fund, which is detailed out. It's like I was telling Randy earlier, when you've got a total income of $673,000 and you've got a total expense of $778,000, you're gonna be in the red. We've got to drill down, and I've been drilling numbers down all weekend and can't get it drilled down out of the red. Most of the things that we've got identified are things that we have. Some of them, it's kind of hard to predict based upon some of our history, because if you look at the historical years with the supporting paperwork behind it, you fluctuate from one year to another. So you don't know if you're gonna be low one year and be high the next year or whatever. So I went in based upon our current numbers, and if our current numbers weren't close to where we are on the values as far as on our 2022-23 budget, I reduced it. I know we discussed some numbers as far as being changed around, but based upon the history, I calculated it by month and allowed it to project the next 3 months in that total. And if it was well below what we had on budget, I trimmed that number a little bit to try to trim the fat off of the numbers for our budget. Didn't try to hit any particular group or whatever. There's some numbers that you can't mess with because they are what they are, and they possibly will be a little shy. But we did try to build in a little room to be as close to accurate as we can get, but, we don't know. With that being said, like I said, we're still showing we're gonna be in the negative numbers. I don't know if y'all have any suggestions on something else that y'all wanna trim down, if y'all wanna look at those.
Let's just keep going.
Okay, on past the 6th page of the general fund, you've got another quick snapshot of the water sewer summary, the budget worksheets.
Page 6 of 6,
No, it's gonna be the last, one page past that.
2 of 6.
No,
No, I'll pass.
go to 6
page
of 6,
Go to
and flip
6
the
of 6.
pages.
I'm sorry, I'm slow these days.
I included all the worksheets and the details so that in case y'all had any questions, and we did it. On the water and sewer, as you see, based upon our numbers, we're showing the total income to total out to be $650,575.96. You look at the total expense, it's $945,342. I tried trimming that down as well. And as you see, that's gonna show, if we go by the net income after allowance for capital, it's $294,766. And then if you take out without the depreciation, it's $173,069. Each month, we fight to pay our bills, and this is a true indicator of what we deal with. I have to hold bills, I have to deal with this each month, each week, actually. We've got to find another way to get some revenue in and trim as much fat as we can. But historically, based upon these numbers that are here, we're pretty spot on as far as what we're predicting. We trimmed these numbers the other night when we were here. And like I said, that is supported by the 4 pages behind it. That's just basically, this is just a quick snapshot of the 4 pages following it. And I mean, if you look at those numbers, we're pretty close to those numbers right now on the 9-month totals for our budget for next year. Moving forward from that, and that we're gonna have to discuss all those deals. There was some discussions as far as payroll, whether we were going to do a 2% across the board. There's several options that I've summarized. There's actually 6 options. The initial option for the original was a 2% across the board, which has customarily been done in the past, with the exception to last year, which nobody got a raise last year. Then, like I said, option 1, 2, 3, and 4, they go up by the, option 1 is 3%, option 2 is 3%, option 3 is 5%. Option 4, if you look down at the bottom of the legend where it makes a comment down there, it identifies those percentages that were calculated for those individuals to get them up to a certain dollar amount. For example, Paul was calculated, his is gonna be 5.8% to calculate to where he can get $12.50 an hour, back up, $15 an hour. Jerry was calculated at 4.2%, so he could get $12.50 an hour, because he's at $12 now. Stevens is calculated at 5%, for a suggestion that was made on that. Karen was at 2%, and mine was at 5%. I've told the mayor, in my personal opinion, for consistency's sake, we need to decide whether things are gonna be done on a merit increase or be based upon historically what we've done across the board. Option 4 identifies those values based upon the information. I've got it calculated there by those percentages. Option 5 are those same percentages for those employees, but it includes an officer number 4, in which you'll notice that significantly increases to $43,000. Option 6 are the exact same employees that were talked about as far as on getting a rate increase this year, with the exception, all of them only get 2%. That includes the new officer.
Now, explain that again, option 6 gives what?
Option 6 is all employees that that are listed in option 4 as far as on getting a raise, with the exception, they're gonna all be at 2%, and it includes the officer 4. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm just writing down here, look at numbers.
At one time, we had 5 full-time police officers, right? About a year and a half ago.
We have 5.
Yes. Has the budget changed from then, whatever is, what was that expense, where that expense doesn't currently exist, where has it been?
I don't know what it was prior, other than to last year. I know, as you know, everything keeps going up. But as far as, I know in looking back historically, some of the numbers, it showed on calculations, some of the numbers would like be in the negative as well. It was just worked on each month. But it seems like some of our revenue, water and sewer revenue, is reducing it, coming in. I don't know if it's people leaving and not coming back, because everything I've heard, when one leaves out, someone lives in. I have not been able to honestly pinpoint it, Cody. I have looked at numbers, I've gone in and looked at every transaction that's come in. I've looked at historical transactions just to make sure that I'm not misaligning anything into the wrong account. I've gone back and double checked things, and the numbers are just not there like what they were, or either we're just eating it up with expense. I can't answer.
And also on this loose sheet here, it doesn't show a gas expense for TJ, is that a piece thing?
I haven't got TJ on a credit card yet.
Okay, and that's
Right
how
now,
they-
he's, Right now, I believe Chief is possibly paying for his gas, and I've got his credit card on the order, I just haven't got it in yet.
And so that's how that is tracked, that each?
Yes, each employee has a credit card that ties into them that they're billed for on their vehicle. So with that being said, the sheets that are following that summary page are nothing more but the support sheets for that summary of the options 5 and 6. You guys already had options up to option 4. I guess now is when we start drilling. I don't know what else we can do.
You ran models on the different rates of pay increases. And on option 5, proposed payroll for 2022, 2023, I noticed that there have been some modifications in pay increases.
Option 5 is gonna be the same modification as those percentages identified in option 4, the additional officer.
Okay.
Randy, you're not looking at the right page. Look at this page. It's gonna be toward the back.
This one is called
It's option 6. So see option 6, option 5 here is the same numbers as option 4 with the exception to, you're adding that policeman.
Gotcha.
Now, I will say this, as far as on the calculations on the payroll compared to the general fund budget, the new policeman's totals are not added in there. That salary is not added in there.
In the which option, or where? It's not
On your
in-
general fund, the policeman's salary was not added in on that at the time when this was run.
And where did you come up with the 30,840
For what?
for Officer 4?
Officer Ford, it was asked to offer him $15 an hour.
If you multiply that times 2,080, it's actually 31.2. Because if you take $15 an hour times
It may-
2,080.
Yeah, it should be, because it should be the same thing as Paul's.
So it should be
Correct.
31.2.
That is
instead of-
correct, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I don't know how I got that number.
That's okay.
So that's gonna increase your total, so.
Yeah, about $400.
How much do we pay the Texas Municipal League every year? And what different things do we pay them for?
We pay them for insurance, for, our employees, our workers' comp, and our, vehicles in all of our properties.
What do we do with them with vehicles and properties?
I'm sorry?
What do we do with Texas Municipal League as far as vehicles and properties?
They insure our.
Oh, insurance, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Do we pay like a subscription to them as a member of their league? And is that, all the other stuff dependent on being a member of the Texas Municipal League?
I'm not sure to tell you correctly. I believe they do have a, dues that they pay, that we pay into, like $400 or $500 a year maybe. I'm not sure exactly on the number. But we, based upon our percentages, they calculate the percentages like, once a year, and if we have an adjustment in vehicles or an adjustment in employees and things like that, they make that adjustment at later on in the year, because they're gonna go based upon what they have employed at the time and what vehicles we have at the time. And instead of fluctuating numbers, you know, all throughout the year, then they'll give us a credit at the end of the year. If we have something that goes down, then we get a credit back. But if we have something that goes up, then we have to make an adjustment for our extra expense.
And another question, how many police vehicles do we have? Like, we have the 4 trucks that are leased, what else is there?
You know, there's the Explorer that's out there, and then the white Charger, which we're gonna get rid of those 2. And
The black Charger.
Oh, what?
The black
The
Charger.
newer
the
black
black
Charger,
Charger,
fleet-based
yeah,
car.
I was trying to think of which one, of course, the black Charger.
That's the one that Felipe's driving now?
Yes, sir.
And how many years into the lease are we on the trucks? 2?
I think 3, sir.
3?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
6, right? 6 or 7.
What?
6?
Lease.
6.
Actually, we're only paid 2.
So this is the 3rd one.
I don't think
We
it's a
will
lease
pay.
though, sir.
We will pay the
What's
3rd
that?
one in February.
I don't think it's a lease.
I'm still studying it, you know, I don't know.
The 3rd one will be paid up in February.
Kind of a caveat, a comment about the cars. I was listening to 3 different police chiefs who were being questioned about their expenditures and their any issues they had with cars, and they said that they all 3 noted 2 things. And he said, 1, we can't find new cars purchased. And if you go around any parking lots, you'll see very few new vehicles out there. And he said, we have, and they all said, we have vehicles that are breaking down and we can't get replacement parts for them. So they're sitting. They have evolved to a practice of having 2 officers in a vehicle with reduced range that they make throughout the day, and some have even considered going to bicycles, which is not an option for us. I mean, we have, the highway going right through the middle of town. But I had questioned our wisdom in securing those vehicles. But I think in lieu of what I'm hearing and in lieu of what I've experienced personally, where I had a Cadillac Converter that was connected and my truck was set up at the Toyota place for 4.5 months waiting on it to come in, perhaps that was not a bad decision after all. It comes with a price, but nonetheless, perhaps in retrospect, it may have been a wise choice to make. We do have vehicles that we need to get rid of. We have trailers that we need to get rid of. I don't know if you have to go out and get bids on it. I'm not sure, and I don't know if this is legal or not. We'd have to look into it. But I'm not so sure that it wouldn't be a good idea to put those vehicles out there and bring someone in to market them for us. We also have we have 2 trailers, the vehicles, we have a welder, all those were gifts from the U.S. Steel. It's not an answer to budget woes, but those funds could be used to repair vehicles and put back into a rainy day fund. Just something to think about.
Well, right now.
Perhaps we could have them auctioned off.
I'm curious whether eBay is a legal means for a government entity to auction.
Yeah, I don't know that either, I'm just an idea to throw out.
Yeah.
I know that there's a place that I see periodically comes in on emails to where,
Renee Bates,
what?
Renee Bates possibly?
Now, I hadn't seen that one. It's something that's affiliated through some of the government entities that we could possibly go that route. I don't know all the ins and outs on it though, so I haven't gotten into, I know with what they've done before with us offering it around here, you know, we put a dollar amount on it. If someone meets that dollar amount, you know, they can purchase it based upon that, based upon because we've done research or whatever, that's what's been done in the past. But the thing that I'm hearing based upon all the vehicle situation, some of the vehicles that we have may actually go higher now than what we'd anticipated for, because like the Explorer, there's people looking for them. So I've had a couple people inquire about the Charger, but there's some issues I want to make sure that we look at first before, I mean, it's gonna be an as-is basis, but, we wanna make sure it's safe enough, you know, for someone, you know.
If eBay is a legal means, I'd be really comfortable with that, because Renee Bates, for example, they sell a lot of government stuff, school districts, police departments, even where
Is that like RENEE?
RENEBATES, and you have to deposit $100 to bid, and I've bought a lot of stuff on there.
Can you do a silent auction on that? Like a silent?
Where on eBay?
Or make a, what am I looking, a minimum?
I think, yes, you can put them in.
Yeah, you can put a
But
reserve on.
some stuff goes on there dirt cheap, and I don't think I see that on eBay as much. But there's cities will auction off just cars where they have them towed and people abandon them.
Right.
So Renee Bates is definitely all government stuff.
I mean, we have that old Dodge Charger too, I'm sorry, that old Dodge truck that we need to get rid of. And like right now, what is it, Shane, the backhoe is limited or down? We got one backhoe down, we got a tractor down, we gotta get repaired. Those aren't gonna be cheap to get repaired.
And Cody, you may be able to find in the Texas statute, the government code 2175. You should be able to find in there as far as what the general government can do as far as selling. But I believe you can on eBay, because I know, I believe it was the city of Gerald. I believe they sold a bunch of like radios and body cameras and so forth on eBay.
Well, I don't wanna do anything questionable, for sure.
Does it require you, I wonder if it requires you to have a appraisal done, or how you, or if you just come up with appraised value, approximate appraised value?
No,
Probably goes by Blue Book or Back Book.
Get you a blue book back.
I know Kelly Blue Book is what I've looked at before on other things, but
I've read that it's a bad idea to buy a police car because they sit idle so much. So the miles say this, but the motor.
Yeah.
Right.
it's kinda like buying a motor from
Hour,
Japan.
idle hours on it. Yes, sir.
You know, the newer vehicle will tell you how long, hours it's out
On
of
the computer, I
Yes,
guess.
But it's a as is sale, so.
Yeah. That's their problem.
Anyway,
I did
these
that
are the numbers that we
years
got.
ago.
I would like to see if we can't try to hash something out, because we will have to have that other meeting, the actual final meeting on September the 6th. So we need to try to hash some of this stuff out. With the numbers being identified as they are, it doesn't look good. We're gonna have to trim some fat somewhere. But like I said, I've trimmed all weekend, I've worked on it all day today, looking at the numbers that we have in the system, in comparison to the numbers that we have based on the budget for up until June. And I had even given you guys the last meeting up to August the 11th, I believe was the day, as much as real time as I could give you. We gotta make some adjustments, and I've trimmed as much as I can. I guess it depends upon what y'all want to do. As far as on the employees, that's one of the things we have to base off of.
You know, the discussion, you gave me a number, a few days ago, I'd gone to the department heads and you, and asked them to take measures to reduce the gasoline bill. And that's a major hit to us every month.
And I told you the other day, we had a really good month on a reduced rate, but I know we've had a lot of,
What was the prior month?
let me see. I wanna think the prior month was between, I wanna think it was like 45.
Yeah.
Am I wrong on that?
About right.
Now, the water and sewer is responsible for their bills, and general funds is responsible for their part of the bill. The last payment I made out of general fund was for $3,649. And I had to flip over to water and sewer.
How much would we save if we did not have if we did away with the municipal court?
How much would we do what?
How much would we save if we did away with the municipal court?
It's my understanding that we can't do away with municipal court if we've got police in town. We have to have some, and I may be wrong with that, but that's what I understand in talking to.
Hughes Springs, they don't have a municipal court. They do everything through the JP court. And there was a Texas Municipal League document that explicitly said you don't have to have a city court. The only thing you lose, really, you can enforce everything, your city police can enforce everything but ordinances.
That's what I was fixing to say, the ordinances is the problem with, that was the other thing I was fixing to say.
And when we were in between judges, when Judge Foster retired, and we were looking for someone to take her place, we did pursue that option. And we got hold of Morris County, and they declined the offer.
How can they? I mean, we pay taxes, the JP court.
They said their workload was so strenuous they couldn't handle it. That's what they told us. We can't
Yeah,
handle it.
we checked that out.
We
Right.
checked that out.
I think they're obligated to. If we carry a ticket up there to the JP court, they can't just refuse to.
I just know what they told us.
Right. Well, we pay those county taxes, so.
Yes, sir.
We even tried to see if we could, possibly get one of their judges to come over here, you know, on our days of court and stuff, and they turned us down on that as well.
I believe Hughes Springs does that, their JP court, their Cass County court.
Right.
They do it in Hughes Springs.
That would have been a great option for us, and I'm in agreement with you. I mean, we did pursue that, we did look at it. That was the first thing that popped into our head, let's pursue that option, and we kinda got cut off on it. So I don't know what to tell you about that. I don't know.
She's our JP, and she's also the Dangerfield city judge, you know,
Yeah.
so.
I don't know what to tell you.
I
They
don't-
refuse to do it. I don't know what to say, you know? You're gonna take the judge to court? I mean,
We
what do you
could,
do?
a writ of mandamus, we could force her to do her duty.
Okay, I was pulling up on the last bill on water and sewer, it was around the same, it was $32.25 for the fuel on the last bill. And then prior to that, it was $2,400, that was their part. So those two numbers being added together, they're gonna be between, the previous month was a little bit higher, between 5 and 6. And then this month, what I tell you, it was running 4 something.
Yeah.
So it's gone down a little bit, but
Gas is gone,
Yeah, it's going down a little bit too, prior to the election, what I'm hearing everybody say. Anyway, if y'all would look at the numbers and see if y'all see anything that y'all wanna chew on, try to trim, and see if I'll compare it to the original numbers of where we're at right now. It's kinda hard to move forward to know how to budget, finalize the budget when we don't know how many employees we're gonna have, and if we're gonna give those employees a rate increase, which I understand that is also dependent if the money's coming in. I really think the biggest one for us to hit, probably first, since it's the highest number off, would be the water and sewer though. We're really out of kilter based on our wants and our income coming in. We did go over the general fund a little bit.
Good place to start is in.
If we were to dissolve the EDC, we would transfer several $100,000 into the general fund.
I don't think you can use that money for general fund though.
But when you dissolve it, the money goes into the general fund, that's where it goes. Within a couple of months.
Never happened.
I think there's
But we can put it on the agenda, we can vote and we can do it, and there's,
My question to you is this, what's your, and I'll just say it, what's your issue with the EDC?
well,
No, not well, what's your issue? State your issue, don't say well,
I
don't
don't-
go off on a tangent, state your issue,
I don't agree with the concept, period.
okay? So
you're
that's the
talking about-
issue. The issue is, you don't agree with the concept, period. You don't know what the concept is.
I do.
You just don't agree with, no, you don't, I don't think you do. What is it?
Essentially
That's
planned
what I saw.
economy.
No, what is
Essentially
it?
planned economy.
Sorry?
Essentially planned economy.
Wrong, go ahead, keep going.
But you're talking about a budget shortfall. And you're talking about several $100,000 transferred to the general fund in a short time period. So it covers the shortfall for several years at the current rates of doing everything.
And what would you propose doing with that money?
It goes to the general fund. It
What
should
would
be a
you
rainy day.
propose doing with that money if it went to the general fund?
Mostly hold on to it, right? And cover some of the shortfalls that you're talking about here.
So then my next question to you is this. How do you propose to try to get new business in here?
Well, it's not through government.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. It's not what?
It's not through government.
That's exactly what the EDC does in every city it is in the state of Texas.
Right, it tries to use
It is
government.
established to try to bring in business and to improve community situations for people within the community.
What business
Sir,
was brought
they
in?
do, let me see, what property we own? Tell me what property we own, and I'll focus on it 100%. You can't do it without obtaining property, which is where I'm at right now, which is what I'm trying to do. Which, everybody wants to throw rocks, Cody, but they don't want to help. There's no, people say, we don't need new business. Without it, how do you survive?
Government
No,
says I'm
how do you
saying.
survive? I'm asking you a question. Just be honest.
Government can come in or not come in.
That's not what I'm
The
telling.
first issue should
Hold on, whoa,
be
whoa.
do no harm.
A
You asked me a
business-
question, now I'm
A
talking.
business
you're
coming
interrupting.
in is not government.
What
So get
businesses
that out
come
of
in?
your head.
What businesses come in?
That's what I'm
In 10
saying.
years? None.
Why?
You're taking almost $1 million out of the private economy.
Why? Why? Answer the question.
Why what?
Why have we not gotten any new business? Is it because we haven't tried? Is that what you're saying? is because we wasted money, is that what you're saying?
Well, you
Wrong
said-
on both counts. Wrong on both counts. Every nickel that's spent goes through the process, is approved. Since I've taken over, there hasn't been one project that has been proposed that hasn't gone through a review, hasn't gone through a public hearing, and hasn't been voted on by the council and the public, as far as being here and questioning. Not one time has there been a petition brought forth saying we don't want that. Not once. Just like the senior citizens, you've been against that since we started that project. There's probably 3 people that are against that project. 99% of the people in this town want to see that happen.
In the agenda that you cited, that you said that TML approved that project, right?
Correct?
One of the laws you cited said it was for EDCs with less than $50,000 collection in the prior 12-month period.
Okay.
When has the EDC ever had less than $50,000 in a 12-month period?
I'd have to look up, I can get you that information if you want it.
Well, you cited.
But that doesn't, what difference does that make?
well,
The issue is, we're not frivolously spending that money. I can show you what's in the account right now. I can show you what expenditures have been done. I can show you what projects have been approved. I can't do that before I became president because I don't know how he did that or anything else. That's not my business. All I know is since I've taken over, everything has been done exactly the way it's supposed to be done. And we are not spending, as you say, your money frivolously. Because if nobody stops at the Mobile and buys a Coke or a pack of cigarettes, there's no sales tax that comes in. None. So the people who come through this town and stop and buy stuff contribute the same, if not more, than the people who live here when they purchase products in this town. That's where the EDC money comes from. 1/2, as you say, of 1%.
no, a
goes
half,
to the
a half
EDC.
percent is what I say. You say 1/2 of 1%.
Yeah,
I
same
say
thing.
half
It's a,
percent.
yeah,
Right, it's
talking,
the same
yeah,
thing.
same thing. So my question is, what do you want us to do with that money? How do you want me to spend it? It's set aside to spend on project. It can't just be frivolously spent. Can't be, it's impossible.
The Morris County Collaborative was going to do an
No,
entire restoration of that.
don't,
building
hey, I'm gonna tell you
with private money.
what, don't go there if you don't know if you don't know all the background, don't go there.
I got the
I have
records.
somebody I can bring
board
in,
there.
hang on, I can
Hold
bring
on,
somebody that will
gentlemen.
come in and tell you exactly the opposite of what you're gonna say.
Gentlemen, stop for a minute.
I'm on the collaborative board, so I don't know what you're finna say.
I've read the minutes. I've got the records.
I got the records also, Cody, so what are you saying?
I'm saying that this was not an essential project. That money would be better used to cover the budget shortfalls that you're talking about.
Well, what the collaborative board got to do with the EDC?
Because we can do away with EDC and all the such similar projects, and we've got several $100,000.
The collaborative board money came from a grant that it has to be used for what it's used for.
Right.
Because Mrs. Mims is the person that organized that grant.
So why did we put the Lone Star taxpayer on the hook when that came from a grant, a private
So
money?
I don't know, EDC ain't got nothing to do with collaborative board, you're talking two different things.
No, they were going to restore that building, make it
Oh,
available
no,
for
you
use.
see, you're talking about that building and you don't know what you're talking about.
Uh-huh.
That building was trying to be bought by a private owned person, okay? So you need to leave that alone.
I've read all the records.
You
And I've
read
checked
the records,
people.
but we know actually what was really going on. It's not in the records, okay? The lady that was trying to buy that building, she wasn't buying it for nothing
Who's
but
that?
for her.
Beverly Austin.
Beverly Austin is the woman that was trying to buy the building. So this is a whole different thing. This don't even have any business in here tonight.
Marsh Collaborative is not on the agenda.
That's what I'm saying.
That's
It
right.
has no business in here
Right, but
tonight.
we're discussing whether the EDC is essential, or whether that money that's been collected would be better used to cover this budget
EDC is not on
shortfall.
the budget, on the meeting.
You say, where are we gonna cut? We need to find somewhere to cut. Here's somewhere to cut.
It's noted. Right up as far as the minutes.
It's all out of order. It's all out of order. And
It is out
It's
of
very
order.
I
much out
disagree
of
with
order.
that.
I'm
We
just
need-
saying,
we
it's
need-
out of order. If you want to talk about it, you need to have to put on the agenda. Cause if we spend all night up here out of order, talking about things that's not on the agenda.
So is there anything on the agenda that we can cut? Can we talk about any sort of
Probably
cut?
not, if I had
Let's
something
look
to
at
say.
it. Let's look at it. That's what we're gonna concentrate on tonight. I mean, I appreciate people coming up with ideas that makes us think, but we have to stick to the agenda. Let's cover these numbers first, see where we end up at. the other discussions will come later.
But I just want to say that covering the budget shortfall is on the agenda. Brainstorming on that, right?
A little bit abstract the way we went off there for a moment. I'm gonna bring us back, Lynn, let's go back to the numbers of features.
All right.
When did Calvin retire?
April, into April. Okay, just like I'm looking at the water billing, we've got it budgeted at $350. Historically here, based upon the data that we have, you can estimate between 29 and 30,000, a little hair over 30,000 a month for the months of July, August, and September. So you can roughly estimate adding 90,000 to that total, which is why we've got the 350. So, I mean, I feel comfortable with that number being good. The sewer billing is gonna be comparable. We have the same. It's gonna be, sewer's gonna be about 19 to 20,000. I'm gonna say roughly about 19.5 because we're running between 18.7 and 20,000 per month. So you can add another, say, 60,000 to the number that we're showing on there, which is comparable to where we're at. So that's why I left those numbers as they are. The penalties and income, I can't anticipate on that because we don't know what that's gonna be. I tried to keep it fairly close right now. Basically, it's running anywhere from 1,100 a month to 1,450 a month. That number may be a little shy at the 13,000, but again, like we were talking, the last meeting, it may be $1,500 to $2,000 shy, but we don't know that. We're based upon a rough estimate with these numbers based upon history. We can increase that if y'all want to. Based upon the previous 2 years, between 14,000 and 16,000. Which would give us a little bit more money as far as on income coming in. But it did not, last year between 21 and 22, the last year's budget, it did not meet that, historically does not meet that number, so last year's numbers are a little high, inflated, but we didn't reduce it because it was based upon the previous year's numbers. If you'd like, we can increase that penalties income to 15,000 based upon the history of it being between 1,100 and 1,450.
Let's be creative, this is all an experiment to see what the numbers come down to, let's add it.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and add like I'll go with 1,300 just to kind of mediate it. We'll change that number to 16,600 then. It kind of concerns me though, because 2021, we were at 14,800. And this will make it an even 16. Tapping fees is one of those things, we've already got $1,200 in tapping fees. If you look historically, last year we had 4,000 that came in, but the year before we had 1,550. As of right now, we are at only $1,200, which is captured by your 9 months. I don't foresee any more too many bids. You don't have to charge a tapping fee right on as far as if we go out on any other businesses, right, any new houses built, right?
No, not necessarily, I mean, if they mow down a house and then rebuild it, they can keep the same
Same
meter,
thing.
same sewer.
I mean, we can up that by 12, you know, up to total of 1,200 based upon what we have right now. Not, with no guarantees that we'll get that next year, but we can have a rough estimate of doing that if y'all want to.
Let's put it down, run the numbers. This is all down numbers.
Yeah, I'm working on numbers all weekend, no matter what they do. The miscellaneous income on this particular one here is an anomaly. It's not something that we normally would get. It was a reimbursement for, from East Texas Water Utilities, and then we had a dumpster that had, we had to get a dumpster lock, so that was a $50 fee that Sanitation Solution charged us, so we had to pass that on to the customer, so we got that $50 as a separate, it wasn't part of the actual regular dumpster fee. So that one's not gonna be a normal expense, even though, or excuse me, normal income, even though the previous year there was $1,440. Interest income, since we don't have any big accounts right now, our interest income is gonna be reduced. We are currently at the 94.96. Sludge disposal revenue. We don't have a revenue that comes in from sludge disposal. That would be an expense, wouldn't it, always?
I don't know if it's an expense, I have to look at the contract with Sanitation Solutions. I think they allow us to dump some sludge without a cost.
Well, this is identified on this worksheet as a revenue, and it doesn't have a dollar amount to it, but I couldn't imagine why it was actually on
Yeah, I
this.
wouldn't, any of that miscellaneous income, I would put a 0, because you don't know if you're gonna have a business move in next year or not. If anything comes in, it's a bonus, but I would put 0 down.
Well,
I wouldn't count on that money.
I don't have anything down for sludge.
I'm talking about tapping fees.
Well, historically, I mean, y'all always based it on history. I mean, that's what I'm saying, even though.
Yeah, I mean, but the only reason why we even went up on tapping fees is because the materials are higher. So, it's basically covering labor and equipment and materials that are needed to make the tap.
I'm not gonna go through these individually line item by line item. Y'all can see the numbers. I'm glad to pull up any of them, where they're at right now, but like I said, I've gone down through several of them, I've reduced as much as I can, and based on history, anything that I thought that we could increase for income, I tried to increase it, but I would rather not increase something falsely and then us not get it and have budgeted against it. Do y'all see any numbers that y'all question? The interest rate, the interest amount on the bond is gonna be going up as we continue. As you can see, right now, it's already $185,000. So I increased that based upon our monthly payments, and,
What page is it on?
that is on page 1.
How is that determined every year?
We have a fee that we've got, a monthly fee that we have to pay and to the account. And then based upon USDA, they bill us each month, they bill us twice a year for our interest and also our principal. And then we also have a repair and replace fund that we have to pay a fee out on once a year.
Is
So
the-
I know the repair and replace fund is a concrete number, it's gonna be the same amount each year. The reserve, we pay so much. When I talked to the auditor and I talked to USDA, we could go in and fluctuate those numbers when your payment, make sure I'll tell you what it is. When you start paying down, your interest is gonna be at a higher level, and when you start paying down, your interest is gonna be higher and your principal is gonna be lower. Once we start paying more on the interest, it'll start moving more like a sliding scale. It'll start reverting, but that's gonna be years down the road before we get equivalent. We've got a lot of interest we gotta pay right now. I talked to the auditor about it to confirm what was done based in the past on this. And he suggested for us to go ahead and continue pulling out of the water and sewer account, paying into that account at the same rate that we are right now. Because that way we can ensure we will constantly have enough money instead of fluctuating our payments. We have to pay-
What's the term? What's left?
Uh,
How many years?
Well, 40 years?
I think it was 40.
It was all done, I think we're in our second or third year?
Is interest, does it fluctuate on market conditions as well as the city's position?
I think it's a locked amount. I think it's like, what, 3%? Do y'all remember?
It's fixed.
It is, yeah. Was it 4? I don't know, it was right before my time. I heard something about 23 or 4%. I'll have to look back on it and see.
And is that USDA, is that the only one? Is the USDA bond the only one that we're paying interest on?
Yes. So those numbers are gonna be concrete. I ran the numbers on those again. The only one that might be a little fluctuous is gonna be the interest. It may not be quite that amount. But if you'll look back in 2021, it was 204,000. So it may be a little bit more than that. I just roughly put it at 200,000 because it depends upon what our payment's gonna have to be this year. I took the $1,000 off of the attorney's fees, because it's historically, we've not had anything on the water and sewer side. And, I kept the credit card fees expense the same. So right now, we're at 2661. And Shane, what license do we have coming up for renewal? The
The wastewater treatment permit, TCEQ permit. Give or take 7,000.
Yeah, we put in 7,500 on that. I am not actually sure what that administrative penalty is, considering that, we've not had any activity on it in a few years.
So, I'm not sure, maybe, yeah, I mean, only thing that we would pay is if we busted on ammonia or something. And, I think we busted once last year because of North Shore Specialties, but they made it up by buying us a pallet soda ash, so.
On page 204, like I said, those numbers are pretty clear.
It might have been before.
The John Deere, what was you saying as far as on the backhoe cost? I mean, 'cause right now, we've only got 6,000 budgeted for that, and then we got 1,500 on heavy equipment repairs. That was before.
This backhoe here, our newer one, the little switch for the extended boom is broke. Just the joystick itself is 2,500, and for John Deere to program it is probably another 1,000. The backhoe at the wastewater plant went down last week. We changed the hydraulic fluid, we tried to do all the small stuff, but, I had Jeremy Pilgrim come look at it. In his opinion, it seemed like a hydraulic pump issue, which is super expensive. Depending on if they even make the part anymore, if they don't, they try to look at a backhoe junkyard. But, we're gonna get an account set up with ASCO, for them to come out and troubleshoot it to see. They may be able to rebuild the pump, no, I'm not sure. There's several options, but none of them are cheap. They only guarantee parts for the equipment 10 years now. Because they don't want you to fix it, they want you to go buy a brand new. That's the problem we're having with our tractor. They don't make that diesel fuel injection pump anymore. It's called something else, but you might be able to find a used one somewhere, but they don't make it anymore.
Is it a John Deere also?
No, it's forward.
Or
It's a Ford. New Holland Ford.
Everything else pretty much stays the same with the exception to the vehicle expense. I did add the 10,000 on there as far as the truck. But I may need to adjust that off because we're still, you had mentioned something about Public Works. I believe on that some the other day.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be used half for public works, half for water and sewer, but I mean, that doesn't mean that something's not gonna, I mean, we have 4 trucks over 200,000, 2 that has over 300, so. I mean, we may drive off in one of them and then, I mean, I don't know.
Do y'all see anything just based upon the budget that y'all think that can be reduced? I'm not gonna sit here and go through all of them item, we'll be here all night.
Just let us sit here and look at it.
Who does the uniform laundering?
UniFirst. And we've already cut out some of the things that they're doing there to cut that expense down. As far as on extra towels and things like that, they brought in.
That'll be cut a little bit more since Calvin's not here. He did his pants.
I think they were charging. When I first came here, they were charging like $100 and something bucks, and I quizzed them on those red towels, and we got that down to, I don't think it was 70 something, 80 something like that. It depends on, they would alternate it.
I'd like to keep some in there to get guys some
Well,
better shirts
he
next
will-
year.
He will, are you talking about money?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say towels. I was gonna say,
Yeah,
you'll
no,
drop
not
those
towels,
off,
we're
you
good.
need, but y'all had an abundance of them, I thought at one time.
We do.
The postage, I can tell you that postage just keeps going up every 3 or 4 months. Shane, on the water meters, do we have anything else coming up on those? I know we have a software fee on the thing.
No, we have some extra water meters, so unless a business wants a 2-inch or 1.5 inch, something other than a normal meter. If, depending on who has to pay for the meter out at Serenity, that'll be a large expense. Northeast Texas is wanting the meter every drop, if that goes through out there.
What I was thinking of was the Harmony, the master meter, that's $1,200. That's gonna be annual, isn't it?
Most likely, yes, ma'am.
If what goes through?
Do you want to speak on this?
Us supplying water to Serenity, we've got some legalities we're working through on that right now. And that's too much to go into tonight, I'm not going to. Anyway, that's what he was referencing.
Okay, so we've got that, the Harmony that looks like it's once a year, and then we have the underground utility, which we get bills on, that's the only thing really we have funding on that, right?
Yeah, I mean, that changes month to month, depending on what breaks.
Our water tower expense, did we ever get a loan to or something up there to help us for the winter months, or is that something?
Water tower expense is not just for, keeping things not to freeze, but, once every few years, we have a company come in and power wash the inside of it, clean it up real good, get the silt and stuff out of it. Depending on what the inspection says, we either move forward or we don't, so. There is some silt in it. It doesn't, I mean, TCQ didn't require us to do it, but we try to be proactive on that. Yes, sir.
Right now, we've got like a loan expense with less than $500 on it. And it had it budgeted still at $7,000, which was less than 95. I was thinking there was something that we discussed, and I guess it's the cleaning out, we're gonna do that this year.
Most likely.
Do you have any idea about, is that gonna cover us?
We'll have to, get bids on it, but I'd keep it there.
I'm just curious, if you know, sort of off the top of your head, and obviously you can't do anything about this expense, but what is the electric expense of putting the water in the tower?
I do not know, sir. I'm sorry, high service pump station.
I'm guessing it's a lot though. Nothing you can do about it, obviously, but.
Yeah, I don't.
We've got multiple.
We got brand
accounts.
new pumps, and motors. They're bigger, but we had to restrict it, so I don't know if I mean, with energy going up, I imagine our cost is more than it was last year.
Does it stay full, or is it half full, or what is it?
No, we, in the winter months, I mean, I can fluctuate it, to try to keep fresh water in, but, I think it drops, if we don't, you know, if I don't go out there and manually do it, it drops 12 foot and then fills, drops 12 foot and then fills, so. In the summer months, on Tuesdays and Fridays, we drop it manually, we turn the pumps off. We get it down there and then turn the pumps back on to try to keep fresh water in the tower. Because almost from the tower north, everybody feeds off of the tower. If that water stays in there, it goes stagnant, so.
Okay, on the lift station alarms, on the 9-month total there, that's showing to be $309. Right now, that lift station alarms total is $34.29. So we've only budgeted $3,000, and as of right now, we would actually be out of budget on that.
That's the auto dollars. That's the expense.
That was to block. Is that gonna be the common annual bill? So that 3120 is gonna be always. So then we need to up that number.
Yes, ma'am, I would. If it loses power or pump goes bad, it gives us an alarm. Came in handy last night or this morning at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Is that the only time, that's the only thing we have, Shane? Just that one?
It's on, out of the 7 lift stations, it's 6 of them, there's 6 of them. Yeah, well, and then the high service pump station that reads the elevated tower, so 7.
Because I'm looking here at our input, in January, we had a 309 bill, and then we had, in July, we had 3,120 from block. Was that,
I think that was that one-time cost, correct?
that's what I'm fixing to drill down to.
Annual, I think it was an annual cost.
That was troubleshoot the sensor phones at the lift station.
Does that auto dollar fee not come out of that one? The 1-year warranty's up on them, so if there's any problems with them, I gotta call somebody out on them.
So we need to up that one. 3,500. We're already at 34. Right now, the lift station electricity is $24,803.08. That's what we paid for it so far.
What was that number again, please?
Right now, the true numbers is $24,803.08. And we budgeted for 26. Just goes to show from whenever I ran the 9-month total versus where we are now, how quickly it goes up. We went from 19 to 24.
Or Tim, will we getting more money from Bowie Gas since they don't up on everything? The gas company.
I think, those franchise fees, with them going up, I'm thinking that we would get more off of that. Since they upped it on everybody, all the citizens, I think we will, but we can't predict how much because, they've just started doing it. I don't know how much on the other franchise fees
What
either.
about suddenly, they sold the Optimus, it's not suddenly anymore, it's
Oh.
Optimus.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And those franchise, we had, Centerpoint, for Centerpoint went up also.
Oh, yeah, they went up
So
back in May.
we haven't seen anything, I haven't seen anything significant as far as on the improvement with our numbers as far as going up. hopefully we'll start seeing something on that. I'm hoping that those numbers will be additional income. So, do you know of any repairs at the lift station, Shane? We've got budgeted for 4,000.
Being the 1 year's up, anything electrical is out of our pocket now. And when the month of June, lift station 1, we dealt with that for almost 4 weeks,
Is
every
that the
day.
one that you finally figured out?
Yeah.
Well, see, we've only spent $2,134 as of yet, and we've got budgeted for 4.
Lightning is not our friend. So I believe that's what happened. It was just an electrical module in there. I had the best electricians and the best pump man. They could not troubleshoot it right, so.
The other big number here, the Northeast Texas, that municipal water purchased, we are currently at 92,708, whereas what was reported here was 71. We still have another month, so I figure it's gonna probably go up another 10,000 based on our history.
Last year was only 70,000? Is that what you were saying?
No, I had 9 months, I had it at 71,000, and we've already gotten up to 92,000, up through current.
Yeah, it's because of the.
2021 was 107, 276.02.
Okay.
In 2020, it was 111, 045.88.
Yeah, the price hasn't gone up, it's still $1.48 a thousand.
Will we be able to get the $8,000 from the water district this year? Remember $8,000 they give us if we
No.
use it?
Probably not, right, Shane?
They don't give us $8,000. What they do is if we replace a hydrant, if it costs $4,000, they would reimburse us that $4,000. But ever since we upgraded our 2-inch lines to 6, replaced all of the old hydrants, we got 35 new hydrants. Some of our old hydrants that need to be replaced can't be replaced because we have to shut that whole line down. And we're not able to do that. They don't have a valve. When they put those old hydrants in, they didn't valve them off. So I don't wanna have half the town run out of water so we can replace a hydrant, just to say that we did.
Oh, okay.
We've taken advantage of it the last few years, but, until a hydrant goes bad and we are forced to, the only one that, we may add one at Lone Star Specialties. Problem is talking with Tommy at Underground Utilities, a hydrant's like 5 months out. And they're not cheap, they went up, so. As everything else.
There's no fire hydrant at Lone Star Specialty?
There's 2. They're wanting another one since
Okay.
they've built a new office. They're wanting another one there. I'm gonna work with Brian and Rodney, the plant managers on that. It's gonna be quite more expensive because they're gonna have to do a hot tap on a 10-inch water line. So instead of being able to shut it down, put everything in, engage it, it'll be much more expensive, so.
What do you have possibly that could require IT management? I've not figured that one out. To me, PD needs to have one IT, a category identified as IT,
I mean,
not necessarily water and
besides-
sewer.
The monthly records I save on my computer, but I mean, that may be covered under
That's
general
basically,
fund.
yeah, that's gonna be
So,
basically, we don't have a way to break that out
Yeah.
necessarily because they put it all in as one.
Unless I can't think of anything, I'll.
Well, and back in years ago, y'all had a fee on it, and that's, I've drilled down and can't find.
You can just have, T1 line right now, sewage. this T1 is on phone list.
Yeah, there's still a phone line that runs out there, but I don't know if that required an IT guy. Yeah,
It might have been expense to that.
it could have been. He was there, so they used it.
T1s are typically around 350 a month.
Okay.
I don't know about that.
Well, all the old alarms were on phone lines, so. What did we have budgeted?
$1,000.
Yeah, that, I knocked it down to like $200. In case somebody had come out and look at my computer or something, hunt or something. But that may be covered under general fund, so.
Your laptop, you carry.
Yeah, that's true. The laptop that I carry in the truck for the water meters. But that would probably be underneath, Harmony. A Harmony expense if they have to come out and look at it.
Does Harmony actually come out, or does it?
I haven't had a problem with it, so.
Oh, knock on wood.
I don't, or some real wood.
You think 200 would be sufficient?
I
I mean,
mean,
if Hunter had to look at it, it's $75 an hour. If Harmony had to look at it, it's probably more.
probably gonna be, yeah, I mean, I'm not a IT guy, I would prefer that to some
You
of
wanna
the
go
computer guys
400?
in here.
I mean, it'll be reduced from 1,000.
Yeah. Thank you, Chief, I wouldn't think about that.
You're welcome, sir.
So only thing Hunter does is $75 an hour, no matter what it is.
He usually charges us a half hour when you guys call. That's why I tell you all the time, y'all get compiled list if y'all want them. Instead of, because I had talked to Kenny about that, he was calling me, telling me messed up his password, it was costing us $37.50, and I told him not to do that.
Do you have a support contract with the
Yeah.
IT company?
As far as like a blanket contract, no. It's on a as needed type basis.
It's a piecemeal thing?
The blanket, I asked him about that because when I first come here, I asked him, why are you going this on every time you come out here? And he said, well, y'all don't have that. And from what I understand, for their baseline, it was gonna be more expensive than what we possibly would utilize. And I'm like, I told him, I said, no, we're not gonna pay that. We'll pay for your visits and we'll limit your calls as far as coming in, so. Plus, he does come in and do some free stops, just checking up on things like that. I think the chlorine room on page 3 is fine because right now we're at 3913 on chlorine room. The sludge disposal, we have it at 504. Do you have any idea what they charged on that before?
No, ma'am. Unless Sanitation Solutions does charge us. We only usually, we go usually once a year, maybe twice a year.
That should be covered at least once the contract. I think it is.
I thought it was, but I mean,
I think it is.
we've thought several things about the trash company.
Well, yeah, I believe that one's covered though. I think it's 2 or 3 times a year. Stationary equipment repairs, what's that fall into on here?
It's like, the aerators, the rotors at the wastewater plant, clarifiers.
We've got that.
We change the oil in them annually, and we change the automatic greasers in them every 6 months. So they're removing mechanical.
So other than preventative maintenance, would there be any other issues with them possibly? Would one go, can they
If
go
one
out?
went down, you gotta get a crane to pull it out, and House Industries should come work on it. I
Right
believe
now, we're
to
gonna
redo
spend-
the last one was around $8,000.
Well, see, we've got 7,000 budgeted.
I'd keep it there.
Utilities, I think we bumped up from before, and right now they're showing to be 14,091, and we got a budget at 16,9, so I would suggest leaving it there. salaries reimbursed to the general fund is listed at 194. Right now, we're at 183. So that's 23 higher than what we were before. That's 33. I think everything else is probably going to stay where it's at. So. How do we get that bottom line number? Or offset it?
We have, through the years, it's not this place that I want to go. Through the years, we've been very conservative in the increases that we made on services. Whether it be water, sewer, or increases in anything. And you and I sat here one time and had the discussion, and I believe I told you that I was not in favor of ever increasing expenditures for people in the city because we have a proportionate number of our citizens who are retired on fixed incomes and on government service. But I think you've hit a point of critical mass where you're going to have to look at that. And nobody wants to go there. Nobody wants to increase taxes or expenditures to citizens. But you have goods and services, police protection, sewer and water, fire, that have to be maintained. And there's no easy way to get through this. So I'm gonna suggest, as a model, that you consider figures to increase those expenditures by a particular amount, reference what the adjoining cities in the county do, and let's put those numbers in and see what it does for us. But we're going to probably, in the reality of all things, have to look at increases in services and possibly some reductions elsewhere. So, that being said, for the sake of running models, which is what we're still doing, and from what I can tell, we're not getting very far ahead. Put out some numbers on rate increases.
What kind of rate increases?
Those will be abstract numbers you can pick up. Again, sewer and water. That's a small part of it. Trash pickup. We've just gone through that.
We did that 3% based on them going up on less than 3%.
Yes.
We didn't do anything more.
Yes, but we didn't do anything more.
And I think that calculates out to, it's less than 50 cents on a base water bill.
Yeah.
It's 40-something cents.
Which is gonna be,
Minimal amount.
yeah, it's negligible. So I'll throw some numbers out there, just for the sake of making a model. Nothing's been voted on, nothing's concrete. But we're gonna have to consider that.
So, do you want to proceed on with general fund, or, I mean, to have a baseline of what we're gonna do? What y'all want to do with employees, and general fund and things of that.
As much as, you know, as much as the citizens have come to us and wanted another officer, for good reason. I'm going to suggest you should not consider that cost. Again, this is just to run a model. I'm trying to get citizens to get together to form neighborhood watches, so that these guys can get calls. We'll see how successful that is. You know, you're to the point in this thing where nothing you do is gonna be popular. And that just comes the responsibility of sitting around this table. Let's go out some numbers. Let's see where we go. Then can move into our formula. And we'll see what kind of impact that has.
I know you're thinking it's confrontational, it's not gonna be. As of last week, was the first time I've ever seen the trash company skip trash. Every once in a while, people will put out 2 trash cans, and they've always been good about taking both, because sometimes people don't even put one out. Last week was the first time. Every house that had 2 trash cans or whatever out, they only emptied one of them, left the other one full.
Are they poly carts that they pay for, or is it, okay? Do me a favor, when you see that, call us. They come by here every Thursday. And, or either they call, they physically come by every Thursday to see when they do their pickups. Call us early in the morning if you see it. I don't know what time they come by your area.
It wasn't mine that it happened to. I just know that my father-in-law lives across the street, and sometime, he's got one little kitchen bag a week. I'll grab his cart and put my excess in it if I'm cleaning my garage or whatever, and I'll have 2 carts at my drive and he won't have any.
Right.
And they've always been great about that, or if I have a cardboard box thrown there, they're always great about it. But this last week was the first time I ever seen them where they just skipped everything but one poly.
Give us a call and we'll get into it right now.
Yeah, we've actually had them to go back out because we had a call one day that they had missed a road because they had a new driver, and we sent them back out.
Right.
When they came by here, we sent them back out and said, hey, we've gotten one phone call in, can you verify that there's not been more than one place missed?
I just figure it's the new owner tightening budget and saying they're not taking more than one because nobody pays for more than one.
Yes, they do.
Well,
Yeah,
some
you can
people
do it now.
Very few.
Yeah.
But that may be the reason why they skipped it is, I mean, I don't know if you are paying for 2, but I think they have an address on who pays for 2. And so
If there's
you may
2
just wanna slide it back to your father-in-law's.
They're supposed to pick them up. The problem is when people use the poly card and say metal can, they won't pick that metal can up. And I met the new manager over a couple of weeks ago. He came by and introduced himself. One of the things was that, when I first came here, they said that they'd pick up 2 bags. Well, then they reduced it down to 1 bag, and then this guy says, really, we're not supposed to pick up 1, or we're supposed to pick up what's only in the poly card. And I said, well, y'all need to have consistent rules, because we've told the people that y'all will pick up at least 1 bag, nothing more than 1 bag along with the poly card. And I said, we've even encouraged people to pick up, if they have an abundance of trash, to pay for 2 poly carts for a period of time if they needed to. And there's been several people that have done that. There's some of them said, we'll just cut back and, whatever. But we do have a record of the ones that have 2 because they're having to pay for them. It's gonna be the same price as a single poly cart. But what we have also found out, Peter down the road here sees that Joe has 2, and we've had some comments made about, we've had some poly carts go missing from the person who's paying for 2 to another place that's not. So
Right.
we're going back and around and kind of having the guys look at that too when they're out, to see.
I've just gone off general observation on my street, which is not that long, 2 homes, they had trash skipped.
call us.
And it's unusual.
Thank you for bringing that to our
Yeah.
attention, keep us advised of that, let's get back to.
What we've had too is people will call at 4 o'clock, we can't do anything about it at 4 o'clock. If you have a normal route early before lunch, they come by every day between every Thursday between 12 and 1. They usually come during a lunch break, and they check with us to see, so I mean, if they miss, give us a shout.
Like I said, it's never
I
been
text
mine.
them as well, let them know, hey, did you go by 1234 address, it's got a handicap sticker, and they didn't get the trash picked up, they'll go back by and say, we'll check it or whatever. That's another thing, we've had problems with people with handicap stickers.
That's a discussion for later, let's get back to the budget.
Okay, so you ready to go with the general fund or what?
Yeah, go into the general fund.
Mayor, before y'all get there, can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
With the models that y'all are looking at, the only person that I've asked for an increase on the water and sewer would be Paul. I've stated that if y'all are wanting to try to give me an increase, give it to my guys. The other one would be Jerry, but he's on the general fund side.
Yes.
So with Paul going to $15 an hour, how much are we in the hole on water and sewer?
What was the figure you gave out?
With making certain cuts?
To sit and, you talking about the overall water and sewer? Good one.
I'm 73,069 anymore. That what's on this page right here?
That's everything there.
That's what he just asked. He asked how much would we be in the hole? Right now, we're 173,069.91.
So give or take, I mean, his
And that's-
increase is not even $2,000 a year. So give or take $173,000. Me and you worked on this last year because we couldn't quite figure out the whole USDA stuff.
Right.
I'm really confused on if we're almost 200,000 in the hole, how are we paying bills?
How we doing, what?
How are we paying bills?
That's one question, I'm holding bills every month.
Yeah, but we only have a couple of bills that you're holding. Surely they're not a $200,000 bill. I mean, I don't know about.
It's all of these unexpected $1,200 and $1,500 and $2,000 bills that adds up.
12 and 1,500 and 175 is two different things, Miss Dina.
I understand that.
You're talking about a crap ton of 12 and 1,500 to get to 175,000.
But you've got 11,000 a month that comes out for USDA, a little over 11,000.
That's been budgeted for, correct?
Right, yeah, that's what we're budgeting. And-
I don't know about, has Miss Ruth looked and seen if something's off on this?
I have not
Because
heard
me and
back
you,
from
there's
Ruth.
like 4 or 5 things that we were really
I know that
confused on last
when
year.
I downloaded the data from QuickBooks downloads that formula, and that formula is correct. And I went and reloaded and re-downloaded some data just this weekend and ran through those formulas just to see if maybe, compared it to some of the ones in the past, and they're the same formulas. The only thing when you go in, if you start adding and tweaking things and adding lines in, the way those formulas are identified based on some of the old reports, they've got a series of formulas from point A to B, and then they have a plus C, and then they have a series of formulas.
I'm just asking,
Yeah, I know.
I'm not an accountant. I just don't know how from 3 years ago to now, if we
Well-
don't owe that much on vendors and paying bills, how in the world are we almost 200 in the hole?
Because of your increases, you've got a total income calculated out of being, just on water and sewer, based upon what we've calculated on history, you've got 650,575.96 supposed to be coming in. But you've got total expenses because of all the increases that we've added, dollar here, dollar there, 2,000 or 3,000 here and there. It's $945,000. So, that's what I'm saying, I have worked all weekend on these numbers, trying to drill down, but when you've got supportive data on our actual expenses, that's why, you know, you take 2,000 or 3,000 off of this, but you add it somewhere else, because we're shy on it, we're already at that number. You know, when I first came here, I'm like, we gotta tighten the budget, we can't spend any money, and everybody laughed at me, because we couldn't spend any money. But we had to spend money because we had this to break down, we had that to break down.
And that's gonna be my next
Can I ask a
suggestion is,
question?
we're already
Okay.
badly in the hole, and now we have a backhoe at the wastewater plant that, I mean,
And a tractor.
Jerry, go ahead, please.
Okay, let me ask this question. Okay, Calvin left in June.
Mhm.
We've been paying Calvin $37,000 a year, right?
That was more than that.
Okay, well, more than that. Let's
The
say-
numbers that you're looking at there, right there, Miss Jerry, that was up until June, that was just his 9 months.
we're gonna save some money and, because overtime and Calvin not being here, but we're not gonna save that much money.
Well, I mean, prime example, Paul had 99 hours. He's right there, even though his pay is not what Calvin's was, he'll have 99 hours, a few pay periods, because they have extenuating circumstances where they have to come in, you know, things like that. And we can't control those types of things. We
Yeah,
can't
no,
control
I'm just trying to figure out how we're,
This
is it,
July, August, September, November, December, August, December.
Give an extra amount of hours,
I ain't the smartest chick on the block, but there's something wrong, right, these people.
I mean, we're one,
Which one, Miss
something
Jerry?
serious breaking away from breaking.
And then Kenneth Taylor, he gone.
Yeah, that's why I gave you a revised sheet, Jerry. There's a single sheet.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, these are people that were here, that's no longer here,
Right.
and they money was appropriated for a year, so now, where is this money? This is the question I'm asking.
Okay.
It may not add up to that much.
Okay, but Miss Sherry, we hired a replacement in Calvin's position for $20 an hour, which was comparable to what Calvin was making, just a few cents different. We hired TJ in Kenny's position at $20 an hour, which was comparable to what Kenny was making.
Yeah, but water and sewer's not covered in half the TJs.
No. But we haven't had, you know, you're only talking
I'm just asking questions.
May,
That's all.
June. We've only
I'm
only
just-
got like 2 months. We haven't really started seeing that.
Right, I mean, okay.
I mean, you can come up here and look on the computer. I'm
No,
not trying to be
I looked
defensive.
at it
I'm
last
just-
year because I thought there was something wrong with how they,
We've looked at this formula too, and that's why I went today and downloaded this again to an
so
Excel.
we spent 204,000 on the USDA last year altogether.
And I even asked the auditor about that, to make sure on those expenditures. What throws it off on the USDA is that one having the 3 there together and that one way off together. He said, I don't know why that's like that. I said, that's the way it was. We're trying to make sure that it wasn't duplicated. Remember we talked
Yes,
about that?
ma'am.
And he
Just
said,
trying
"No."
to,
I can tweak and pull the numbers all you want, but you're gonna have to increase some services. It's gonna have to be some money raised somewhere. I mean, you can look all you want.
Nobody likes to say the word inflation, but it has hit all of us in the
Yes.
city of Snowden.
Everybody has increased, you're gonna have to do something. That's just the nature of the beast.
I mean, the USDA loan was absolutely necessary because things were neglected for so long. But I think we ought to try to maybe look
Yeah.
into Loan forgiveness,
You know what?
a loan forgiveness. I really do.
With the USDA,
Yes, sir.
I think it's worth our pursuit, absolutely. I
So,
would agree with you.
I mean, if it's 50%, it's 50%,
Yeah.
but, because that thing went on for so long, I mean, it started in '08. Plans were written up in 2010, and we didn't even start breaking ground until 2019. So the cost, we had to rebid it, so,
And in a last minute, hike of $2 million.
yeah. So,
But if you look for a loan forgiveness, our collateral as the city is our water system, which is owned by all the communities, and I don't think the other communities are gonna like giving away their water.
I'll explain that again.
When the USDA, the requirement was that we sign over our water at the whole community, who do we buy our water from?
Northeast Station.
Right. They had to sign from all the cities that were part of that co-op to put that water system as collateral for our loan. And if we default on that loan or cause changes, they may say, we now own that water. So you may have I'm not saying that would happen, but you gotta know that when going into it, because the federal government likes to take over everything they can.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm just, you know,
We're like stockholders in that system.
What's
Right?
that?
We're like stockholders in that system because in the 50s or 60s, the people that are voted to build that lake. and
yeah, they
create
pay
it,
property tax for that, yes,
There was
sir.
a bond that
Yes, sir.
built the dam. What was the name of that lake?
Lake of the Pines.
What's the name of the dam?
Oh, I don't know, I'm sorry. But yeah. That's, it's over $200,000 a year that we're paying on stuff that, if we can get some forgiveness on, or maybe a lower interest rate, I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to throw some ideas out
It's
here.
worth pursuing, to look at, to
Because-
see what the repercussions of it are.
But y'all only paid on it, what, 2 years?
Yeah, but I think the federal
Out of a
government,
40-year
with
loan?
everything going up, you know, and we're considering heavily going up on water and sewer rates to try to help pay for this thing. I mean, even when we started signing the documents, the attorney over it said in the next few years, you're gonna have to raise water and sewer rates to make up for it.
Well, just like the auditor says, y'all got to find a way to bring more revenue in.
So,
What all did that bond cover? Lift stations,
lift stations, new water line,
Burn Street?
no, sir.
No.
No, that was a CDBG about 8 years ago.
It isn't even from.
New, water
Drive down to
distribution
the
pump
end, that's all
stations.
it is.
New generators.
Fire hydrants everywhere.
We came up to a point, it was unfortunate that had to be done, we came up to a point of critical mass, but it was just.
Yeah, the lift
overflowing.
stations were way too many Band-Aids. There's 7 lift stations in Lone Star, and 6 of them were completely different. So you had 6 different types of parts to try to choose from. It was.
What was the most patches you found on one property? Some astronomical number.
On Shell Street, there's a 1-inch line that feeds 2 customers. I pulled 14 foot out, and there's 8 clamps out. So I replaced a 20-foot section. So, but the line going around Lake Shore was a 2-inch old. I'm pretty sure they used old pipe, it wasn't water rated, but that was back in the day. But it had corroded so much you couldn't even see through it. It wasn't even a 1-inch pipe, and they upgraded it. Everything that was upgraded and was much needed. It was. There was no choice on the matter. It just took forever for the process to go through because 3 of the lift stations were technically on U.S. Steel property. And since they moved their headquarters to Pennsylvania, we never could hear from anybody to get stuff signed over. When we finally did, and within 3 months, we broke ground. But from 2010 to 2019, things went up. So we weren't able to do near as much with, what was it, $3.2 million than it was before. But, I mean, there's so many, I mean, we have ARPA now, the American Relief Fund Act. there's a lot of things that's going up and the cities haven't necessarily gone up on taxes and revenue to try to make up for it. So the government has given grants and everything else, and maybe they can use that towards the loan to try to help the payment out. I mean, I'm not saying that we shouldn't pay back what we borrowed, but get some kind of a relief on it. So it's not going back to the customers or the taxpayers, to say the least. Cause that's a lot of money every year.
Well, from what I understand in talking to the auditor, you had to have y'all had to build up so much before,
Yes, ma'am.
and so therefore, because I quizzed him on the breakdown on that as far as on USDA, because there was nothing in file on what it's for, plus the fact of what you and I talked about, the different accounts. He explained some of that, apparently he was involved with that, or Devin, or as far as I'm talking on some of that. You know, he said as far as on the breakdown, you know, it's broken down correctly, it's just that one item is so far away. And I said, it looks like to us, you know, we talked about it, you know, it looks like we're double paying something. I said, no, you're not double paying anything. It just looks weird being it. Cause you figure 11,000, what is it, 11,177 or something like that a month, it adds up pretty quick.
Yeah, it's well over 100,000.
120-something thousand.
But that's just for the payment on the interest. What about the payment on the principal?
The payment on the principal is,
I'm sorry to prolong, I'm just trying to figure, it's water and sewer. I don't know how much general fund's in the hole. I don't think it's 175,000, so that's something we need to try to get our heads
well,
wrapped
the thing
around.
about it is, we deposit every penny that, you know, every deposit slip that we have, whether it's on water and sewer or whether it's on the general fund, we have an input, we have an output for our bills.
I mean, I know we lost
Yes.
about 150 customers, so.
We lost about 100 customers. Is that what you said?
150 in population. We were at, what, 1561, and we're at 1,400 now.
Well, you figure.
I'm just trying to figure out a way, I mean, because we're not talking about a couple $1,000s in the hole.
What do you think I've been working on all weekend trying
Oh,
to figure out?
that's
I
why.
can't. It's that money tree that we all need that we can't get, you know, I've tried everything numerically, changing and flipping numbers around and reducing and based upon everybody's, what we know historically, based upon our history, you know, we've even trimmed back some off of history wise.
Yes, ma'am.
And we still,
And others of us have been very proactive in trying to get different manufacturing facilities in here. And most of you know the roadblocks and the headwinds we've run into. Same player. And we'll continue on, but we have hit a point of critical mass where we're going to have to be very decisive. There's no easy way around this. So someone please throw out some numbers that you have on rate increases, and let's plug them in, look at it, see where it goes, and we'll continue to look at areas we can cut. We'll go through the ARPA exercises, find out what we can do, at least we've exhausted what our parameters might be.
what is it, 34.50 for 2,000 gallons?
No, for inside the city
What
limits,
is it?
$23.
20 for 2,000.
And then it's $5 for every 1,000 or 2,000 over that. And then the sewer rate, I'm not sure.
I have not compared that with other places to know what theirs is. Cody, have you?
Not in a couple of years.
I mean, just the cost of a meter, curb stop, everything, especially brass, is going crazy, so.
Did y'all increase, what was it, 19 or 18 when y'all had y'all's last increase? Was that because of the new meters going in?
So we didn't increase water, we only increased it commercial water just a little bit. That's to help out on the wastewater side. I'm treating, car wash or Arnold's or Rabbit Hole, because we got a couple more restaurant in Spoons. And they don't have the necessary, grease traps. They were kind of grandfathered in because they're just old buildings, so.
Back when the new meters were put in, there was a pseudo increase in that the old meters run slower when they get worn. And so the new meters running more accurately caused several people's bills to go up. So there was a boost in income back then that we're not gonna see again.
Yeah, but it was fairly minimal.
There won't be a lot of people's premiums.
They've been getting a lot of free water for a long time now.
And I understand that.
You want to just use a generalization, increase fees across the board by some percent?
2 to 5%. Run the numbers.
Well, you hate to put in that additional burden on the citizens.
Yes, I do.
How many meters are
Let's run the numbers in that manner.
Depending on who moved out, and
You're gonna have to run it based upon your,
who served them, like paying customers.
How many?
your gallons of
Give or take
usage.
900.
Okay.
Correct, Shane. If we go about a percentage rate, we're gonna have to calculate that based on the gallons of usage. Because if you said it's 20.
It's already calculated that there's a base rate for 2,000 gallons. If you use 2,000 or you use 1, you get a base rate.
Right.
When you go over
$23
that, for every 1,000, there's a $5 additional charge. And sewer is similar to that, it's a little bit lower, so. But energy to treat the sewer has gone up, energy to pump the water has gone up. Chlorine has gone up because of shipping, and it's a rare commodity now. Just try to get some HTH to put in your pool. So.
You want to shoot higher than 5%? Just, it's just the best thing, just a model to look at?
Shoot the numbers and see what we come up with. Just make sure the beats.
If you're talking 5% on $23, that's $1.15.
Yeah, that's.
So I'm saying
That's
it's not.
very negligible.
Also, won't make it back your deficit.
No.
No, it won't make a big dent in it. But it is a way of coming up with some of it.
Even if you raise the base rate by $10, not suggesting it,
Yeah.
you went from 22 to 32, you're talking $9,000. And that's a significant, that's a 30% increase.
Not gonna be able to make up the deficit in
I know.
1 or 2 or 3
I know.
years.
No.
But you have to start somewhere.
But I mean, if stuff continues to go up, I don't know what else,
I know.
I don't know
agree.
where the burden has to go back to the customer.
Every household in America is looking at that.
Oh, yeah.
Funny cringe every time I get my electric bill in, let me see what it's gonna be this time. And I think everyone else does too.
Oh, what did you say? I'm sorry. What did you say?
I said, I think I cringe every time I pull my electric bill out of the mailbox to look and see what it's gonna be, and I think everyone else does too. We can't control that, but we do have to control what happens here.
Well, in all fairness here, if you will look, this is not the first year that we showed them being in the red. Starting back in 19 and 20. it was 86,000. If you look at the net operating income without depreciation, it was 86,000 in the red there. In 19 and 20, it was 62,000. In 20 and 21, it was in the positive, 394. And then right now, it's in the negative of 136, just based upon our current 9 months. And like I said, I mean, anybody's, you're welcome to come and look at the paperwork. I mean, we've got every deposit's accounted for and every check, It's, unfortunately, it is what it is on the expenses coming in,
I mean, we have really cracked down on non-pays.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
We've cut people off when they didn't have them done, we've extended it to some extent, some for a couple of days when they're gonna get paid on Friday, as long as they pay it on Friday. If they're not paid on Friday, then they get cut off. Because
You guys could have done a better job in reducing your fuel costs. I don't know what more you could have done.
if we have some,
Like I said, I mean, some of the trucks that we use get horrific gas mileage. So, nothing I can do about it.
So like 8 or 10 miles a gallon or something?
he's got
8.
one.
Of course, the newer trucks get better. I mean,
There's no sacred ground here, per se. Let's look at, there was a suggestion last meeting, that we examine, vehicles being taken home. I'm not trying to take anything from anyone. I'm just trying to look at raw numbers to see what we can do. Let's plug in everything that we can think of, run the model on it, we'll look at it, and see where it takes us.
Well, on that single sheet that you've got up until June, you see the gas mileage, the gas expenses, that's inclusive of to work and home on those vehicles. I don't know how much it's gonna reduce down, It may reduce a little bit, but it's not gonna reduce enough to offset, where we're gonna get headed if we keep going this direction. And,
Perhaps in some of the comments made tonight, it's food for thought. I'll get with Tina before the next meeting Thursday,
yes.
and we'll run some more models. We'll just carte blanche, pick out things and throw it in, give you something to think about. Rate increases, we'll look at reductions in expenses, we'll look at everything. Because I'm not so sure with what you heard tonight, that you don't need to think about it and come up with some different scenarios. I'm not sure if we stay here until 9 or 10 o'clock tonight, what more we're gonna get done. And I'm not trying to circumvent anyone's input at all. But perhaps we can come up with something that you can look at and define. There's no easy way to get through this. And I would dare say that every municipality out there, every state for that matter, is looking at the same thing. Welcome to the time we do live in. So that being said, we want to continue the meeting. Anybody you want to go with?
On a few models,
Do what?
on a few models, see what we come up with, see what we cut. And,
And call Tina in if you will, or me,
okay,
if you have any ideas. We'll plug it in and see what it looks like. So that being said. do a
I move
motion.
that we adjourn.
Okay, second.